Welcome to Ride, Sail, and Repeat. My name's Kevin. If you're joining us for the first time, to give you an idea, today we are going to go over making a trip to Disney World affordable. So, working on a series right now, how to plan the perfect Disney vacation. We're going to go step by step. In today's step, we're going to talk about how much does it cost to go to Disney World. This is one of the biggest questions everybody has. Starting out, I get a lot of people run across that ask me the exact question of, man, how much does this cost? My wife wants to go to Disney. What is it? Is it going to break the bank? Questions of that sort. So today's video is going to answer that question in a way. Understand that there are a lot of things that can affect the price. But what I've done is I have taken a trip that we were looking at potentially doing from February 15th of 26 to February 21st of 26 with 4 park days. And I actually have real numbers. This is what it's going to cost for a family of 4. Something to keep in mind is that this only includes the room and the ticket. It does not involve food. It does not involve travel. Travel is a really tricky one because I have no clue where you're coming from. I have no clue how you're going to travel. So I really can't give you a whole lot of information on travel. That's something you'll have to do on your own. Decide how you're getting there and figure out how much it's going to cost. Food, we will go over some food stuff in a later video. But for now, we're just talking about rooms and tickets. I do have a lot of numbers down here. I apologize. I hate to look away from the camera constantly to look at notes. But unfortunately, there's a lot of numbers involved here. So I'm going to start diving into it. Again, one of the first things I want to talk about is there are hundreds of factors that affect the price. What park you're going to. If you're going to do a single park ticket, each different park has its own price for the day. When are you going? So prices for the park. So this is just an example. The cheapest ticket price that I could find for a single person ticket is $119. The more expensive end of that is $199. So you can see that is almost $100 difference in ticket prices for one day for one person. So you can see that finding the right time of year can make a big difference. What park are you going to? So each park, like I said, Magic Kingdom is always the most expensive, followed by Hollywood Studios, then Epcot, then Animal Kingdom. So as mentioned, these packages run from the 15th of February of 2026 to the 21st. Basically, you would arrive on the Sunday. You would do a park day on Monday and Tuesday. We'd take a nice little break day on Wednesday, do parks on Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday we would go home, whether we're driving, flying, or whatnot. All right, so the absolute cheapest one I can find. Now, these are also all staying on Disney property. There are opportunities to save money by staying at a cheaper hotel off property. I'm not going to say that it's impossible to save money that way. But then you've got to also consider how are you getting back and forth to the park. Having that Disney transportation, not having to pay a parking fee. These are things that, in my opinion, it makes the staying on property worth it. Again, if you want to stay off property, you can look into it and see if it benefits you. But again, you'll have to look into, I think the last time we had to pay for parking at Disney, it was like $35 a day, somewhere in that neighborhood. So again, how much are you saving being off property? And that's if you drove and you have a vehicle or you paid for a rental car. If you don't have any form of transportation, now you're paying for an Uber. How much is it going to cost to get an Uber to bring you there? Whatnot. So do be mindful of the fact that everything I'm discussing are Disney resorts with the tickets. So the cheapest would be staying at one of the all-star resorts. Different times of the year, I noticed that different ones actually have a cheaper price. So you have All-Star Sports, All-Star Music, and All-Star Movies. Oftentimes, I find music in sports tend to be cheaper than movies, not by a lot, but it can fluctuate. And there's times where all three of them cost the same amount. And every so often, you'll actually see it where movies is the cheaper one. But again, they can fluctuate, and it all goes off of basic supply and demand. If they see that movies is booking up and there's only a few rooms left, they might bump the price up a little bit on those rooms. If you can make the money, right? They are a business at the end of the day. People get mad at Disney for the markups and stuff like that, but understand they are a business. They have shareholders that they have to please. So just keep that in mind. So for a trip from the 15th to the 21st of February, staying at the All-Star Movies with 4 park days, we are looking at $4,317. That is, again, about as cheap as you're going to do that length trip at Disney, staying on property with tickets. Something else, throw this out before we get into other numbers. Look around for a travel agent. I have talked to a handful of people who have successfully used travel agents that got a better price. I personally haven't run across a travel agent that gave me a better price. Therefore, I book all mine my own. I also like the control factor of being able to just do it myself. I plan it when I want to plan it. If I want to make an adjustment, I make an adjustment. I don't have to go through someone else to do it. But again, if you're looking for a cheaper price, find some recommendations on travel agents. Call some travel agents, but price it yourself. Make sure they're really, because some of them might charge you $100 to book this vacation for you. Well, did they save you $100? You know, so be mindful of that. Look up the price yourself before you just jump on board and assume that they're doing the right thing. Unless you can just afford to pay for that convenience of someone else planning it for you. So we talked about the cheapest one. Where is the most expensive one? So during this particular stay, I looked down the list, and I got you 2 prices. So keep in mind that when you get into the deluxe resorts, you start getting into suites. You can have a 2-bedroom suite versus a studio-style hotel room. So this is where the prices can start fluctuating. I can't just say, oh, well, it costs this much to stay there. It costs this much to stay there in this particular room. So most expensive, Grand Floridian. Grand Floridian is nearly always the most expensive. Outside of, like, the Polynesian has the little bungalows, things of that nature. But as far as a room, Grand Floridian is going to be your most expensive, ringing in at $9,739, and that is just for the studio style. If you bump up to the most expensive one that was currently on the list for Grand Floridian, it was $16,712. $16,000. I can't even imagine spending $16,000. And for me, when I look at $16,000, I look at 4 all-star trips for the price of that one vacation. So again, if you've got the money, by all means, if I had the money, I would spend it too, I'm sure. But those are your price difference. Now, understand that each one has its own thing. So for like the Grand Floridian, number one, it is a very fancy, it gives you that elegant style, whereas the All-Star Resorts are a more basic hotel room. I mean, they are excellently themed, but they are more like just staying in a hotel room, whereas when you get into Grand Floridian, it is like staying in a 5-star hotel room. So there are those differences there. For Disney transportation, and we'll talk about Disney transportation in more detail later on in another video, but for All-Stars, all you get is the bus, which I'm fine with the bus. You get into the Grand Floridian, now you have access to the monorail. The monorail can bring you to Magic Kingdom, or it can bring you around Epcot. There's also the opportunity to get on a boat. You know, there's a boat that ferries you right across the waterway right there to the front gate of Magic Kingdom as well. So there are other options. And realistically, if you wanted to, there's a walking path. You can walk to Magic Kingdom from Grand Floridian. You're not walking to Magic Kingdom from All Star Sports. You could, but it's going to take you a while. But there's a lot of things in between the two of them that can have some of those perks. So one of the ones, let's talk about the Skyliner. So the Skyliner connects multiple resorts to both Hollywood Studios and Epcot. Now understand that the monorail brings you to the front of Epcot, the Skyliner brings you to the back side of Epcot. And when we start talking about planning a day at the park, what end of the park you go into, if you're trying to rope drop something, can make a difference. So keep that in mind. And we learned the hard way. We didn't do our research like we should have the first time we stayed along the Skyliner. But if the Skyliner brings you to Epcot, there isn't a bus to bring you back. So the only way to get to Epcot from that Skyliner resort is the Skyliner. So again, keep that in mind. But the cheapest of the Skyliner resorts is Pop Century. They also have their neighboring Art of Animation. Prices tend to be a little bit higher at Art of Animation. Art of Animation has a little bit better theming. Like the rooms are well themed there. The pool's way better themed than most other places. But you're going to pay for that theming as well. But to stay at Pop Century, which is along the Skyliner, giving you that access to those two theme parks. And keep in mind, you still have the bus to bring you to Animal Kingdom or Magic Kingdom. But for the two that the Skyliner goes to, you have Skyliner access. That brings you at $4,679. So we're talking about a little over $300 upgrade. And we're talking about from the 15th to the 21st. So you've got a few days there. So big picture, you're not spending that much more a day to stay on that Skyliner, if that's something you want to do. Now understand that those prices along the Skyliner can jump, and they can jump fairly quickly. So to go from the cheapest, which is Pop Century, to the what I would consider a moderate resort at Caribbean Beach, you're jumping up to $5,801. So that's a significant, to me, $1,200 to go from this somewhat value level resort at Pop Century to this moderate resort. I don't see the value there. That's $1,200. You can do a lot with $1,200. So, not saying you shouldn't do it, but just be mindful that if you're trying to get along that Skyliner and you're also trying to be budget friendly, you need to really watch where you're looking at. Riviera is going to be even more expensive than that. Like I said, Art Animation gets tricky. Art Animation has a very broad range, and that's because there's only a handful of studio style rooms at Art Animation. A lot of the rooms at Art Animation are suites, if you will. There's a bedroom plus extra. You can sleep more people. Now this becomes great information if you have a family of more than four. That's something else. I don't remember if I said that part or not, but this whole price range thing is for a family of four, 2 adults, 2 kids. And I say 2 kids. There is another little caveat in here that I haven't discussed yet. If your child's under 2 years old, you don't pay for them. They're 100% free under 2 years old. So I hear a lot of people talk about it, but they don't want to bring their kids there until they reach a certain age because they're not going to remember it. I'm going to tell you right now, some of my most set in stone core memories at Disney was when my little girl was under 2 years old. We started bringing her for the first time when she was 6 months old, and she has been at least once a year pretty much ever since then. In those early years, 1, 2 years old, like just the reactions that you get out of them, the pictures that you're able to get of them reacting, those memories are priceless. I love those memories. Not that she doesn't enjoy it now, not that I don't enjoy seeing her enjoy it now, but you cannot duplicate those early childhood memories. And again, it doesn't cost for them to be there. You're only paying for the adults and other kids that are over 2 years old. So don't feel like you have to wait. Get that early trip in. And doing an early trip when they're young like that and you're not paying for them gives you the opportunity to feel it out. Maybe you could do a shorter trip at that time. Feel out the theme parks, learn your way around a little bit, understand, because you're going to watch all these videos from me. I'm going to recommend a few other people that you watch along the way, just for planning purposes and understanding the rides and the different systems that they have in place at Disney. But watching the videos and being there doing it are two slightly different things. So use that early trip before they turn 2 as a opportunity to learn your way around the park. You get those memories from them. They don't remember it, but you do. You get to keep that with you, and you get to learn to where when they're 5, 6 years old and they're really go get it and they start having, I want to do this, I want to do that, you know how to make it happen for them. It's going to make the trip a whole lot better. But again, those are some of your broad brush strokes of a Disney vacation price. Now, I did take it down a little notch. So right now, we're giving you an extra hotel day for a down day. You're getting there before the tickets start. You're leaving the day after your last ticket. So at no point in time are you traveling and having to go to the park. And you get that down day. And we're going to talk about that later on down the line. Down days can be amazing, refresh. And there's a lot of stuff to do without paying for a park ticket. And we'll talk about some of that stuff in a later video as well. Brought it in a little tighter for you, though. Let's talk about we're really on a budget, right? And we can only afford so much. How much to just do one park day? So I shrunk it down. I went from the 15th to the 17th. We're going to be in the park on the 16th, all right? Of course, you can narrow it down. If you're flying in, if you want to, you can fly in the morning of the 16th, fly in the evening of the 16th, and just do a day in the park and fly home. No bags, right? Just bring you a little park bag to get through the day, and you get back on the road. I don't advise it. It's going to feel a little rushed, but depending on who you're traveling with, maybe you're doing this trip, you and your newly wed bride, y'all are going to go and y'all are going to do this trip, and y'all are going to learn about Disney before y'all ever even have kids. Hey, a fly in, fly home trip, hey, it might work for you. You're paying for the plane tickets one way or another, so that price, again, is outside of this. And now all you're paying for is that $199, $119, whatever the park ticket is, times 2 if you're bringing someone with you. But that could bring that price way down. But the way I did it, again, I recommend, if at all possible, getting there the day before your park ticket, leaving the day after. Have that full day to be in the park. So that's what I did here. Again, we did it with the All-Star Resorts. We did the 15th to the 17th. Again, we are a family of 4, and we're going to one park. That one park with the hotel room, $1,296. So if you notice, we're at $1,000 for one day. You're at $4,000 for 4 days in the park. I oftentimes tell people to plan for a family of 4 to figure on spending at least $1,000 a day if you're going to Disney, and staying in the hotel room. You may find days that are cheaper. Again, we talked about ticket prices. So on the 16th is actually an expensive day. So on February 16th, these are the prices for the different parks. If we go to Magic Kingdom, that is $199. If we go to Epcot, it's $184. We go to Hollywood Studios, it's $194. We go to Animal Kingdom, it's $179. So those are the prices that we are working with just for tickets on that day. But again, that is that day of the year. That $199 Magic Kingdom ticket does drop all the way down to around $119 on the cheaper days of the year. What day of the year that is, get on Pinterest, get on Facebook. Someone's got a chart showing you those prices, and they may not be out yet. So a lot of times it takes them a while because basically you've got to click, and go on the website and you can do it. Like look up the date that you're thinking about going, and it's going to show you what a ticket would cost that day. So go in, check it out, find your price for the days that you're looking for. And again, look at what's available. Couple things I want to point out. If the kids are out of school, oftentimes it's more expensive. So the most expensive time of the year to go is typically Christmas and New Year. Spring break is right behind that. Thanksgiving can be a bit pricey. The Halloween season can be a little pricey because they have the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party taking place at Magic Kingdom at that time. Oftentimes, the Halloween season can get a little bit pricey as well. A reasonable time of year to go if you're looking for prices. September's normally not overly expensive. January, February, it depends. So for us specifically, the February trip that we're looking at falls for Mardi Gras. You get outside of South Louisiana, a lot of people don't pay attention to Mardi Gras. Don't hate me, Alabama. I know y'all do Mardi Gras as well. But a lot of places don't even pay attention to Mardi Gras. It's not something that they've dealt with. But Disney recognizes that enough people have time off of school and work at that time that they're going to the parks. So they throw that extra little price out there. But if you get anything from after about January 3rd through that beginning of Mardi Gras season, which fluctuates from year to year, you normally get a pretty good price there. And then after spring break, from the end of April till beginning of June, you tend to have another fairly light price-wise, just because there's not a whole lot going on. Now, that being said, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. You are not going to want to be at Hollywood Studios unless you are a hardcore Star Wars fan on May the 4th. Again, you may have a little influx in prices there. The only time that the kids are out of school that the prices aren't horrible is the summertime. So June and July, you don't necessarily get super expensive prices. Again, 4th of July, it's a holiday, so you may see the prices bump up a little bit that week. But elsewhere in the summertime, not horrible. But I will tell you, if you are not from the South, beware of the heat. And we'll talk about that in another one. But again, I just wanted to throw out some random dates, look around, and figure out the time that works for you. We've done a lot of our trips where we do it when the kids are in school, where they miss a Friday and a Monday. Call us horrible parents for taking our kids out of school to bring them to Disney. But we get a little 4-day weekend. We go to Disney, and they miss relatively small amount of days, but it makes it way more affordable. So we're able to oftentimes do 2 trips in a year going that route versus trying to do a longer trip at a more expensive time when they're out of school. Another thing I want to throw out in this video, just to give you an idea. So we're going to go back. The cheapest for 4 days is $4,679. If you cut that down and you just do 1 park day with 2 nights in the hotel, you're looking at $1,296. So I went and I found a couple other places that we've gone to. One of them we haven't actually gone to yet, so I can't give you any kind of review on it at all, but just got on their website. I know of them, so I looked at them and found them. So to do 2 nights with 1 theme park day at Hot Springs Magic Springs theme park. So we're going to do a day in the theme park, and we're going to do 2 nights in a hotel room that we stayed at when we went up there. Did we stay at the cheapest hotel room there? No. Do I think we stayed at the most expensive one? No, I don't think we stayed at the most expensive one either. We stayed at a relatively nice hotel room. Of course, Magic Springs is not quite big enough to have their own hotels yet. But it was a nice theme park. Was it Disney World? No, it was not Disney World, but we enjoyed ourselves. I have nothing bad to say about Magic Springs and Hot Springs. But so for the ticket, for 4 of us to go, would cost us about $240 for the 4 of us. So as you can see, that is tremendously cheaper. The room for 2 nights, we're looking at about $367. So all said and done, we're looking at about $607 for the 4 of us to go spend 1 day in the theme park and have 2 nights to sleep there. So $607 versus that $12.96. So as you can see, you can go somewhere cheaper. Margaritaville, we went to Margaritaville and Lake Conroe, Texas. They have these various places. We had a blast at Margaritaville. We liked it. So to go over there, so Margaritaville, the you don't really pay for tickets. They refer to it as a resort fee. Each person has a resort fee added as part of the room package. You can go and just spend a day there and stay somewhere off property. And I forget what it is. If I'm not mistaken, it was like $20 or $25 when we went. That may have changed. But the resort fee for us, family of four, came out to $101 in that little totaling screen. So I'm going to say that it's still around $25 a person if all you wanted to do was go to the water park. With the room, again, we're doing 2 nights there. That way we have a full day to play at the resort. It brings us up to $676.07. Not a horrible price. Again, you're looking at close to half the price of going to Disney. But it's not Disney. We enjoyed it. And something, I'm just thinking about this now, so I don't have numbers for you for this. I should have done it. Disney has water parks too. So when we talk about this $101.70 that we're going to pay resort fee at Margaritaville, you're not looking at that much more to go to a Disney water park. Depending on the day of the year, again, those prices can fluctuate. But I guarantee that if you did the same trip to Disney and did a water park instead of the theme park, you're looking at saving a couple $100 at least. So keep that in mind. There are water park options there as well. And the last one that I priced as far as that kind of accommodation would be, it's called OWA in Gulf Shores, Alabama. We haven't been to this one yet. I've read a lot about it. I've looked at it a lot of times. And what hurts us is that a lot of times when we look at it and we start looking at what we're going to do, we end up talking ourselves into going back to Disney. Sorry, OWA. We do want to check you out. Again, it looks like a nice place. There's an indoor water park, which is nice. There's also a small theme park. The theme park looks like it's probably going to be comparable to what we had at Magic Springs and Hot Springs, but it may actually be better. I really don't know. I haven't been there. I don't want to compare them to anyone because I don't know. But to do tickets alone at the Gulf Shores, Alabama, OWA, we're looking at $261. The room is about $444. So you're looking at a total, again, for 2 nights in the hotel, 1 full day in the park, $705. So not a bad price. A little bit more expensive than Margaritaville or Hot Springs, but again, you've got that indoor water park. That's nice. Weather's a little bad. It's not going to affect you as much. There's also a theme park, if you will, or amusement park. I don't know what we'd really call it a theme park, but there's an amusement park with some roller coasters and carnival type rides. There's also a small little like shopping strip. You know, when we go to Disney, you got Disney Springs. They have a similar type thing, had a few different name brand restaurants along that strip and a couple little shopping outlets before you actually go into the park. So there's that there too that the other places I've mentioned don't really have. So those are your going somewhere and being in a park of some kind, whether it's a water park or an amusement park or a theme park. But it's not your only option. So in this same time frame, Disney Cruise Line, it's about a 3-day cruise. It's going to bring you to a couple places. You're looking at about $3,432. Royal Caribbean, same time frame, $1,332. So again, it's a little 3-day cruise. You're not going for a week for this price, but when you look at $1,332 compared to $1,296, it's up to you to decide whether or not it's a better deal to go on a cruise than it is to go to Disney. You're not seeing Mickey Mouse on a Royal Caribbean cruise. And then Carnival, you can do a Carnival cruise on this same week for right at $1,000. So again, you have other options that you can spend your money on. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the Disney price, don't feel like you've got to go there. Currently, my videos are all geared towards this Disney World vacation. We will talk more later on about the different cruise lines. We actually have a Disney cruise planned coming up soon. So when we do that cruise, we're going to take you along. We're going to show you the ins and outs of that ship. We're going to go through the planning process of what we do to get there. And once we're finished with the cruise, we're going to do you a lessons learned video, things that we thought we knew before we went, but surprise, there's always something that we learn after a trip. So I'm going to go over that stuff with you with the Disney Cruise Line stuff. If that's something you're interested in, later on down the road, you will start seeing those videos. But again, these are some rough ideas of a cost. I'm not trying to confuse you with these other options, if you will. Just giving you something to compare it to. You know, again, people talk about how expensive Disney is, and it is. It is a price tag. But at the end of the day, for me, I don't regret a single dollar I've spent at Disney. We've enjoyed every trip we've ever done. We've had bad trips. And at some point in time, we may do a video and kind of talk about our worst days at Disney. But I don't want to do it as a clickbait type video, because I'm going to tell you that even on our worst trip, we enjoyed ourselves. We really do. We enjoy Disney. We are a Disney family. And if you like Disney, if you like the brand, save your money. It's worth it. So that's it for today's video. The next video will be on, we're going to kind of continue on this, how to make it affordable. We're going to talk about cost-cutting measures that you can do to save money. We'll even talk about a couple of just random financial pinch and pennies, if you will, to make a Disney trip more affordable for you. So go ahead and subscribe. Leave a comment. If there's anything you want us to add to these videos, let us know. If there was something that I didn't discuss in this video, let me know. It's the only way I can get better at making videos is if you tell me how to do it. I want to make these videos as pleasant for you as I possibly can. So that's it for today. Stay tuned for our next video. Should be coming soon. Bye.